Hey, and welcome to map 16 of TNT Evilution. This is Deepest Reaches, and I have to be completely honest, this one's a bit of an oddball level for me. So we start out in this rocky cavern area, and we kind of make our way out across this ravine with lots of platforms. There's enemies like this Cacodemon, there's a chain gunner on the far side I think, there's a shotgunner, there's imps, so there's plenty of enemies for us to be dealing with here. And it's quite dark as well, so like a lot of these enemies kind of can be quite difficult to spot if you're not paying 100% attention. As you can tell by the pinkies down in the lava, there is a secret here. We're going to grab this ammo box, and that's the first secret of the level here. So you can see there's a Spectre there. Gonna grab the super shotgun because why not? Grab the armor there as well. We're just looking out for the Spectre here. So I know that there's at least one enemy down in the lava down there, so just gonna see if I can spot it from here. I think it's a pinky. I'm not sure. If you hit that switch, it raises some steps there, which we can use to protect ourselves. I'm just checking to see if there's any more. I can hear another pinky. I'm just going to kind of shoot down there just to make sure that there isn't actually anything there. So there is actually an imp all the way up there, so we are going to shoot them. There's this here, this rad suit if you really want to go exploring, but there's not really much down here to be honest. I think we've successfully got our hands on all of the enemies down here. I'm just doing a final check while we're in the area here. So I think we can safely progress here to the next part of the level. So there's a pinky there. I think that was the pinky I kept hearing. So we killed those enemies there. There are two directions you can head in. If we go this way, you can actually shoot the chain gunner in the sewer there. We'll be down there in a minute. So this area is pretty interesting. It's like a wooden house, a wooden building. I assume it's supposed to act as like a gatehouse for the sewer. If you hit that switch, you can see the outside of the room opens up. There's actually a mancubus up there, and there's a bunch of other enemies that we kind of need to be very careful for. We'll head up here and take down the enemies up top here. You can see there's quite a variety of enemies up top here. We grabbed ourselves a nice rocket launcher, and grabbing the rocket launcher there almost killed me because I blasted myself in the face. Some bony boys have dropped down and need to be very careful because if those rockets hit me, I will die. So yeah, let's get rid of you right now. Okay. So we've got rid of the bony boys there, and we can grab the chainsaw from inside. So we're actually in the sewer area here, or the underwater river, or whatever you want to think this is. Personally, I call it a sewer. It's not the best looking of sewers, let's put it that way. You can kind of see there, that's the... we can look through and shoot that enemy there. That poor zombie man had no idea what got him there. And if we come into this area, it's like a little shrine area. If we grab the invisibility sphere, a Baron of Hell comes out of the wall there. So we do kind of want to make sure that we get rid of this guy. But we can grab the blue armor there, which is very useful. Not doing too well on the health front here, so I'm just going to be a bit careful. So there's another mancubus down here that we're going to take care of. One thing about this level, I will say that a lot of these passageways are kind of meandering, so I can imagine that a fair few people have gotten lost trying to figure out what this meant to do here. So if you go down here, you can see we need the yellow key. You actually need to go into this teleporter here and grab the blue key. Now, the blue door is actually in the other direction, and here's the thing. If you go in the other direction, you will not have any idea where this blue key is for a while. So you kind of have to go hunting. This level expects you to go exploring. So if you are not a fan of exploration levels, this level is not for you. But as we move forward here, you can see there's a nice rock formation from the roof there, so that you can tell they tried to visually jazz this up. As we head down this long ass elevator here, we head straight into the door here. We have to hit the switch at the side here. And you can see the red key is right in front of us there. Now, the red key is completely optional in this level, and honestly, unless you're really hankering to get the cell ammo for it, it's really not worth the time, in my opinion. But we'll grab it anyway, because I want to sort of see what's in that room. There's a bunch of enemies here that we need to get rid of. This is quite an interesting little area, because there's staircases, there's this area that's flat here, there's a little altar under the inverted cross there. So there's definitely a lot going on here visually. Kill you. It is a very interesting visual, that. It's quite nicely done as well, because there's some bodies on top, so it's clear that they've been making some sacrifices. Whereas rubbing is where the exit is, but we can't access that yet. The blue door is right here, so we're going to head up this corridor here. Now you can see, we'll shoot all these enemies, we'll grab the rocket ammo there, and that lets us look back out onto the previous area. I do know there's a secret around here with a BFG in it, and I'm just seeing if I can find it. Because it would not be horrible to have a BFG on this level. See, when I play these levels, I tend to do them from memory, so if I remember a secret around but I don't know where it is, I'm probably going to end up just rubbing my face against all these walls. Classic Doom style. I swear it's around here somewhere. There's a secret with a BFG in it, and it can be quite useful. Well, let's give it a you. So when I said that this level is a very odd level, what I mean is there's a lot of visual styles at play. So at the start you saw the caverns, the stony caverns that we were in, and then we went into that wooden building, then we went into the sewer, and now we're kind of going into this hellish cave here. So there's definitely a huge variety of visual styles at play, and I'm not quite sure it makes for a very cohesive level. It kind of feels like a bit of a jumble of everything, and that's going to continue towards the end of the level. I'm not saying you can't jumble styles up, but what I am saying is that you need to kind of justify the use of so many visual styles, and I don't think this level quite does that. Also, these long ass elevators, there's several of them on this level, and none of them are fun to use. So you'll notice that in the PC version here, this area is very much at the top of the cavern, and you'll see there that the yellow key was actually on a sky texture, which is quite unusual. There's a lot of interesting visual styles being used in this level. So we head back down the cavern here, and you can see that there's a big hole over there. Oh, there's a pinky blocking me. Can I make it? No, we're going to go down and kill the pinkies. So you can see that this is kind of like a little outdoor area between the different cave systems. There's not much down here, to be honest. I wouldn't be down here unless I really hadn't messed up that jump there. And say hello to another long elevator here. I feel like I'm playing Mass Effect 1 here with all these elevators. That's an old school joke, I'm sorry. But yeah, as we make our way into this cave system here, again, you can see another style of cave here. So that's multiple different types of caves, and another lift to raise us up here. Certainly, whoever made this level didn't feel obliged to stick to, you know, normal level design conventions. So because we've already made our way towards the yellow door, we can just dash in this direction and we can make our way to that yellow door that we saw previously. And in my opinion, we're coming into the most ugly part of this level. So this is basically just a big rectangle room which has enemies on the outside here. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, whoever designed this level didn't have like a vision for this level, but what I am saying is it kind of feels like that whatever they felt like designing on the day, they kind of just put it into this one. So I'm not a fan of big rooms like this, in particular when there's not much to kind of make them stand apart. This just feels like something you'd slap together in Doom Builder. And I understand that back in the day this was probably a bit more impressive, but for me it's just like a big, mostly empty room with not much going on inside. If you stand on the pedestal there, it lowers down the Mancubus. This again is another optional fight. You don't actually have to do this. We'll get rid of the Mancubus there. You actually want to go this way if you want to grab the red key. So you can see there's a red door, and this is the area we need to use to get to the red door. You actually have to shoot the wall there. It's one of the few times in this that we actually have to do that. And there's a bit of an elevator puzzle here, as if there weren't enough on this level. We have to get up there, you see. So I'm just looking around here. Ah, there we go. So we come inside here. Nice little cave system again, with grey walls this time. And the lights go out, and this is actually quite an interesting little fight, this, because the lights go out completely and enemies start piling into the room, although not that many. I am playing on ultra violence here, and that's as difficult as it gets. Now, if they put a few chain gunners in here, maybe a few more imps and pinkies, I think that would be a really cool encounter. The potential's there, that's all I'm saying. So, as we kind of make our way around here, I'm just kind of showing you how this is all laid out, because I think it's important for you to understand what we're about to do here. So, the way this level's been designed is that you actually have to use the a item grabbing technique, which means that we're going to be grabbing an item through a wall, which is not obviously part of the official Doom thing, and you can see there we've grabbed the red key from its position there, and that's because that wall is literally just on the other side of where the red key was. And when you come into the red door here, there's just a few items. Now, if you think that's worth it, then good for you. Personally speaking, I never drop into this red key room. I literally will just keep running through the level just because. And we make our way into the teleporter here, and the exit has revealed itself. And you can see there the red key is gone. I am determined to find this secret before we leave the level. I am convinced that it's here. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Nice. Okay, so there's the BFG that we were talking about. We don't get to use it much, but it's there for if you want it. Honestly, I have some very mixed feelings on this level. On the one hand, some of the encounters are really fun, and it's not the worst level in TNT, but I do think it's one of the more confusing in terms of design direction, and just, I don't know, some of the rooms in this one feel like they weren't given much thought and much polish. And to be honest, that red key being completely optional and forcing you to grab it through a wall like that, I don't know, I don't feel like that should be in an official release. It's one of those things that, like, yeah, top tier players at this time might have known that, but your casual Doom players probably never get that red key because they probably don't understand what it is they're looking for. But overall, it's not the worst level. It's one of those levels that, you know, you play it, you don't hate it, but you don't love it, and then you just kind of move on, I think. But Deepest Reaches is one of the levels that was picked for the PS1 version of this game, so let's have a quick look at this one. And there are quite a few changes on this one, notably in the variety of enemies used, and also in some of the rooms have actually been scaled down or removed. So you can see here, I don't know if it's just because they've changed the way that this room is designed, but you can see that the skybox is a tiny bit more prevalent. I'm not quite sure if that's just me or if that's like an actual thing that was done on purpose, but it kind of feels like the skybox is a tiny bit more prevalent. This secret is here still. You'll also notice there's a lack of variety of enemies here, so there's no chain gunners, there's no Caco demons, much like we've seen with a lot of these PS1 edits of these levels. Unfortunately, they did not make the cut, probably for hardware reasons. I'm going to use this chance to shoot these guys down. You can also see that instead of clicking a button to raise the steps, you just walk into the teleporter. I mean, both achieve the aim, but I get the feeling that this is one of the larger levels, and again, I'm very surprised this is one of the levels they chose, because it is actually quite a big level when you actually look at it overall. So grab the super shotgun here. The same enemies in this room, and you'll notice that when we look into the sewer bit here, it's not a chain gunner but a shotgun guy, and what that tells us basically is we're probably not seeing any chain gun guys on this level. Now the layout of this room is actually very strikingly similar, but the functions that happen within it are actually quite different, and you'll see that when we hit the switch here. Because the outside of the room does drop down, but we've lost the Mancubus over there, and we've lost the chain gunners, so this feels less intimidating, I feel. So when we grabbed the rocket launcher last time, that thing came down with the bony boys, and it doesn't come down on this one. So my guess is that because they didn't have the desire to put any enemies in there to replace the bony boys, they've just completely removed the functionality. So you can't grab the chainsaw in this version, at least not in this playthrough, because either it's balked or it just doesn't go down. And I'm going to show you that here. So the sewer bit here is largely untouched. It's still kind of as bland as it was in the PC version. It's a bit darker as well, so you kind of got to keep your eyes open a bit more for the enemies wandering through to shoot you. You can see there they've gotten rid of the thing that we could, so we can't shoot the zombie man through the little gap because there's no gap there. Now they've also gotten rid of this altar bit, which is where the Baron of Hell was in the PC version. Now the area is still here, but it's just kind of it's a non-marked secret at this point, so loses a bit of flair there. And obviously no Mancubus here. So we do still need the yellow key card to get through that door there, which means grabbing the blue keycard here and then running back through the level. I think that my biggest critique about this version of this level is that they've made it a bit too easy, because by removing a bunch of the enemies you end up kind of nerfing the challenge. And the thing with this level is that if you end up getting like only a tiny bit of health as you're wandering through, it can be a bit difficult, but I don't think you'd have the same problems with this one. Or at least the PlayStation 1 version of this level. You can also notice that the performance is not as smooth as we might want it to be. Now to compensate for that, they have taken out some of the geographical kind of features, so there's no rock formation hanging down there. And they've also added in this part here, which is a bit interesting. So instead of the door opening up straight away, there's actually another lift here. Now I think this is because what they don't want is you to open both doors, because this room I can imagine can be quite taxing on the PS1, and if you have that open and the room on the other side open, I can imagine it doesn't play nice on the PS1, so they've put that in to sort of stop you from doing that. It acts as a little breaker between the two areas. But by and large, like, the red keycard is still there. Although I will say, as we'll discuss in a bit, I don't quite know what the function is on this level for the red keycard. Because they have actually gotten rid of the red door, which you will see in a bit. So, and they've also changed quite how you grab the keycard. I assume it's because they kind of agreed with me that maybe using like a grab technique like you have to do in the PC version. Oh, that just popped right up there, didn't it? Probably wasn't the best shout. You can also see they've gotten rid of this massive cliff formation here, so there's no pit with spectres in it, and you can't look over to where the other side of that cliff is. So I imagine that's for performance issues. But interestingly, that area on the other side is still there. It's just the bit with the big hole in the middle isn't. Which kind of makes sense when you look at the changes made in previous levels. They've removed a lot of the verticality out of these levels, and that pit is just a massive sort of empty resource, I can imagine. This secret is still here, so you can grab the plasma rifle and the megasphere behind this wall, which is very nice. You can also see that this area here has a few enemies in it. So this brings us out here to where the imp is up top. So it doesn't drop you back at the start of the level, it actually just drops you here, which is fine. So we are getting pretty close to the end of the level here. So honestly, like, I appreciate the fact that this level's made the jump, but honestly, I don't think I would have picked this as one of the levels to put in my best of TNT compilation. So we make our way down the stairs here. So we have to grab the yellow key, which is up in the hell caves here. So another little change here is you'll notice that instead of there being an elevator here, they've actually just made it a teleporter, which again I guess is for verticality reasons. They don't want the levels to be too tall because that would take up a lot of, you know, memory space when loading these levels in. So I assume it's just to kind of keep the performance of the level on the point. There's no sky texture beneath the key this time, they've just made it a flat texture, so kind of loses some of that luster. But we've now got the yellow key card, which means we can head back through the sewers, and yeah, this level loses something when you kind of take out that verticality. As much as I'm not a fan of the big elevators, that's kind of this level's thing. It's like, this level's supposed to feel huge, and when you take out those big spaces like that, it kind of loses a little something. So we are heading through this area. It is interesting that they made this alteration as well. I'm assuming that they did at some point test it the way it was, and they must have come to the conclusion that the performance was already pretty rough on this level. You will have noticed that in some of the bigger rooms on this level, things have not been super stable. There are ways I can change that in the emulator, but to be honest, I'd rather people experience what this was like to play on a PS1, because I do think that it's easy to kind of look back on the PS1 versions of these games and go, well, the performance wasn't that bad, but, you know, this was a real technical feat to get onto the PS1, especially so early in its lifespan. And you can see that in rooms like this, which I don't think this room should have made it across at all. Personally speaking, I would have chopped this room completely out. I think that you can definitely tell that this was not given like the full treatment that the Doom 1 and Doom 2 ports were. There is a Nightmare Spectre there, which we're going to kill, but there's two normal pinkies on the other side. So we're going to head over here and do the red keycard hunt. Now you can see there is no red door for us to open here, and that raises the question, what exactly is the red key for here? And the answer is, I don't know. If anyone in the comments has anything that the red keycard can do in this version of the game, please let me know. That'd be fun to see. But I have had a quick look around once I'd recorded this, and I didn't see anything. Like, most of the playthroughs I saw, the people just grabbed the keycard and then they just left the level. So my guess is that they left this in because that red keycard is so kind of like visually important. It's such a unique aspect to this level. But then they realised, well, we haven't got anything to use it for, so it's just a useless keycard. You'll also notice when we head up this lift in a second that instead of kind of grabbing the keycard through the wall, which is what you do in the PC version, they've actually just made it a translucent texture, so you can just walk through and grab it from there. But yeah, there is no red door here, at least not to my knowledge. I'm sure someone in the comments, if there is a use for it, will pop up and say so. But I find it funny that like they did that. I don't think this needs a red key card because there's no indication of that on the sides. Overall, I mean, it is what it is. This PS1 version of Deepest Reaches it's here. I don't think this is the best level to port across to the PS1 version. I think it's a bit too big, this level, and I think that you could see that in some of the performance issues we encountered. I don't think it's a terrible level, don't get me wrong. On the PC, it's fine, it's just hugely unmemorable. On the PS1, they kind of take the fangs out of it by removing so many of the mid-tier enemies, and I think it loses quite a bit of that difficulty, so it ends up just kind of being a bit meh. But if you like this level, let me know in the comments what you think, and thank you very much for watching.